Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Anne and today I'm going to be bringing you my August wrap up. August was a really good reading month. Although I didn't make a lot of content and although I was kind of slacking with everything else in my life, my reading life was on par, which is great compared to July, which wasn't the best month for me. So let's go through the monthly statistics and then we'll get into the book reviews. So in the month of August I read 17 books. 5 of these are physical, 7 ebooks, and I had 5 audiobooks. I was really upping my game with audiobook listening this month. The genres read for August was 6 fantasy romance, 2 fantasy, 2 smut, 2 dark romance, 2 horror, 1 sci-fi, 1 crime, 1 contemporary. My age ranges, no surprise here, 13 adult, 4 young adult with 0 middle grade. I don't really own a lot of middle grade, so I'm not reading a lot of middle grade, and I've just got so many other things that I'm needing to do instead of picking the younger audience of reading. Then for my ratings, I had 7 5 stars, 4 4 stars, 5 3 stars, 1 2 star, and 0 1 stars, which is great. I had some really good ratings. And books acquired, 9 of them were owned, 3 were ARCs, 2 were Kindle Unlimited, and 3 were Libby. So the Libby ones that I generally, if I listen to an audiobook of a book that I already own, I just put it in owned because I'm trying to whittle down my owned TBR. And 3 from Libby, which is great. So 3 of those were books that I didn't have on my TBR, on my physical TBR. So that is that, and let's just get straight into our reviews. So the first book that I read was, before I get into this, actually, a lot of these books I do talk about in full depth in my full Moon Readathon reading vlog. So definitely do check that out because I read a lot of these in here and I give you like full in-depth thoughts, opinions as we go through. So I'm just going to quickly run through it because I don't want to be here for an hour reviewing these books, which I've already talked about a lot. So the first one is Once We Flew by Nikki Lee. This is an NZ author and I gave this 4 stars. This is a fantasy, this is a sci-fi novel where we're following our main character Marsa, and she is a survivor of this. So Marsa is now living on this planet where generations ago our ship decided to land here. They crashed into the sands of this planet and they are dealing with that. There is, in this world, they're trying to find a way home because something happened at home that they don't really know. They're just many generations in. They're living in this world where there is an infection called the chrysalis. So if you get infected, it then becomes your body, you get these powers. So in this one we're following Marsa. She has the chrysalis disease. She has this very dangerous power. She has put herself in as an outcast to make sure that she doesn't harm anyone or put anyone in danger. But then she gets a knock on her door telling her that one of her best friends from the past is on her deathbed. And on her deathbed she makes Marsa promise that she is going to find home, a way home. And she does, and they go on this journey. It's a very short novella. It is 90 pages, I think it was. Yeah, 93 pages, and I had a really great time with it. It's 4 stars. I definitely talk about this more in depth in that full Moon Readathon vlog, so make sure you check that out. The next book that I finished was These Shadows Become Her by Demi Clarissa. This was an ARC and I had a great time with it. This is a 5-star read for me and it was amazing. So in this one we're following our main character who has whose whole goal in life is to become the apprentice of this very prestigious art master. And when he rejects her, she falls down into this rabbit hole of drinking and kind of sleeping with everyone that she comes across. Then her sister gets murdered and she finds her sister's body, and she comes and standing on top of her body is a man that she almost hooked up with, and she has to then figure out if he's the one who did it, and if he's not, who did. I love this one. There is so much emotion, pain and grief within this story. I'm pretty sure I talked about this in my Indie Book Recs number 4, so again check that video out as well. I've done a lot of recommendation videos and talking about a lot of these books this month, but I really love this one. Our main character, she is so strong. She's gone through so much, and we watch her as she is in the depths of despair and depression, and she rises above it and starts to come out of it. I really love the slow burn romance, and then once it turns into a romance, it lights a flame. It is so beautiful. The smut is top tier. There is a couple of people in here that I'm absolutely in love with. I love Wynne, I love Idris, and I really love our main character as well. What's her name? Mia. So Mia is just this strong character, and we just watch her as she is going through all of this. There is vampires in here, which I love. There is witches. There is so many amazing things. Elves, fae. It's just a great time, and I loved it so much, and I definitely recommend it if you're looking for a dark sort of romantasy story. You definitely should check this one out. The next one that I read was Mr. Giggles, The Interdimensional Love Clown, and this is a 14-page clown smut. I thought it would be funny to pick this up because a bunch of girls in the Valaris Vixens book group, especially Brie from Buggish X Obsession on Instagram, she kept talking about this one. She reads the most unhinged smut, and I decided for the full moon readathon to get the first prompt for my clown character that I was going to read this, and this was the most unhinged but amusing 14 pages I've ever read in my life. I gave it 2 stars. It's not good. Like, it's honestly not good. And I did like live reactions as I was reading it on my Instagram. So I do have a story highlight that you can check out if you want to kind of know what this is about and how it goes without actually reading it, because it's 14 pages and that's like 20 minutes that I'm never going to get back in my life. But it was hilarious. I had the most fun time like just reading and reacting to it, and it was just great. The next one that I want to talk about is Sound of Storms and Silence by Rosanna A. Brown. I gave this 5 stars. Again, this is in the full moon readathon reading vlog, but I had a really good time with this. This is a 5-star. It's an epic conclusion to the A Song of Rights and Ruin duology. So in this one we're carrying on and pretty much immediately after the end of A Song of Rights and Ruin. So in A Song of Rights and Ruin we're following Karina, and she is the princess, and her mother gets assassinated. And to try and resurrect her mother, she has found the spell that she needs, the heart of a king. And in this world there is this competition that happens in this world where they will win something from the queen. And Karina decides that the prize for winning this tournament is going to be her hand in marriage, so she can get her king and then kill him and take his heart. And then we're also following Malik, who is on this journey with his sisters, he's on this journey with his sisters trying to find a better life. And his youngest sister gets kidnapped, and he makes a deal with the demon that has kidnapped his sister to kill Karina. So we're following on from that. I don't want to talk too much about this because it is the sequel to the first book, but I loved it. This is an epic conclusion, and I love how it ended. It kind of showed you that yes, everything is good now, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of growth within this one. There's a lot of mental health representation. I tabbed it up. I loved it so much. There are so many sad moments in here as well that I found were really heartbreaking, but it was such an epic conclusion and I just had a great time with it. It's definitely a 5-star read, and I definitely think that you should check out this duology if you're looking for a diverse fantasy read. The next book that I read was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson, and this is a 3-star read for me. I listened to this on audio, and I think this is the best way to listen to the story. I don't think I would have actually gotten through it if I didn't listen to it on audio. It is very dense. So in this one we're following our 3 characters. So we're following Heinrich Wanger. He is the head of this big corporation, and he has a mystery that he wants solved. So he hires our second character, Mikael Bloomfist, who is in trouble for releasing something in the newspaper that he runs that is deemed incorrect and false. So he's in a bit of trouble. So Henrik hires him to help him figure out the murder of someone within Henrik's family and try and figure out how it happened before Henrik dies. And then we're also following Lisbeth, who is the girl with the dragon tattoo, and she is this sort of hacker person who comes together with these two to try and figure out what happened. And there's a lot that goes on in this. There is a lot of talk of autism and how people have seen autism within this place. I talked about this a lot within the full Moon Readathon vlog. I was quite uncomfortable with some of the words that were used in here. There's the R word to explain Lisbeth, because she is autistic and she has a lot of issues that she deals with, and I don't like how people treated her because of that, and the way they spoke to her and called her the R word, which I don't like. And yeah, there was just a lot of things in here that I didn't really like, but at the same time I found the story to be compelling. Like, I really wanted to know what was going to happen. This is definitely more on the political side of thriller. I definitely call it more of a political thriller, more so than just your normal thriller. And I wouldn't really call it a thriller either. It's more of a mystery because nothing really thrilling is happening. But yeah, it was a 3-star read for me. It was pretty average. I definitely will be unhauling this, but I will be continuing with the series and listening to it on audio, because audio is definitely the best way to digest it. The next one that I read was Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and I gave this 5 stars. I'm absolutely in love with this book. It is so good. I tabbed it up so much. I had the best time. So in this one we're following Misery, and she's kind of an outcast within her community. She lives in the human territory, which is frowned upon within this world. Humans don't like vampires, vampires don't like humans, the wolves don't like either of them. So everyone within this species, like this world, they're kind of against each other. They're kind of very separate from one another. And then something happens where Misery has to then get married to our wolf. What's his name? Lo. And she agrees to it because she needs to find something that she believes her new husband knows about. And we're just watching them figure things out and fall in love, and I loved it. It was so great. This kind of got me into the kick of reading vampire romances again. It was such a great time. I loved it so much. I just really love Misery and Lo. I love their relationship and how immediately he's like, my wife, you are my wife, you are under my protection, I will protect you. And it's just so good. Yeah, I just had a great time with it. I loved it so much. Like a guttural sound rises from someplace low in his chest, making my knees weak. What else? Like, it's just so good. I just love it so much. She's my... Lo's hand jerks up to clutch Max's jaw. Apologize to my wife. Like, I just had the best time with it. I love it so much, and this is the 3rd Ali Hazelwood book that I've given 5 stars, so she's definitely a favourite author of mine, and I cannot wait to read the rest of her books. I'm so excited to check out the rest of them. Immediately after picking up Bride, I then picked up Die For You by Lauren Jackson. So this is an Australian author, and this is the Bookish and Spice fantasy romance subscription box, and it is just stunning. And I did read this edition, but I'm kind of sad that I don't have the paperback because I did want to annotate it. So in this one we're following our main character. I can't remember her name. I've read it. Rhea. And her sister has passed away a year ago, but she believes that her sister is actually alive. So she is on this journey trying to find her sister. So she goes to this town called Red Throne, and she comes across our other main character, Alex. Is that his name? Alex. And comes across Hunter. And Hunter is a vampire, and something happens where they end up being this sort of bodyguard scenario. But it's not just a bodyguard scenario. There is like things where they cannot stay away from each other, and I just really liked it. I did find that it gave me Twilight vibes. Like, they moved to this like very dark and dingy town where vampires can roam freely, and I just really enjoyed it. We get also we get chapters with the monster who's kind of hunting these two down, and we kind of figure out, like, see his perspective, this thing's perspective, and what's going on with this thing and how close it's getting and stuff. And I just really enjoyed it. I really loved the relationship between Raya and her best friend. They were really cute together and really protected one another, and yeah, I just had a great time with it. And this definitely really gave me all the vampire vibes that I was looking for immediately after reading Bride. The next thing that I read was We've Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I gave this 3 stars. This is a very hard book to describe. So we're following our main character who is living in a house where the rest of her family was massacred. So it's only her and her sister left alive. And we're following that. They are very hated within the community. It's hard to explain. It feels like a fever dream reading this book. Like, you don't actually know what's happening. Yeah, I still don't know how I feel about it. It's a 3-star read for me. It was very weird, very fever dreamy. You don't really get a conclusion. You don't really know what's happening. Like, at certain times it's like, are they dead? And we're just getting this perspective from someone who's dead, but they don't know they're dead, so we're following them. We're trying to figure out who actually murdered the family. And yeah, it's just very strange, and I don't know how to talk about it without sounding like I'm just rambling, which I am doing. The next one that I read was Silver Foxed by Kayla Grouse. This is a 4-star read for me. So in this one, we're following our main character who goes to her parents' holiday home to get away because she's been going through a lot and she needs time away. And then her father's best friend and also co-worker also goes, but and they don't know that both of them are going to be there. So they kind of decide to come to this agreement that they're going to stay there and they're going to play house, and some fun smutty time happens. Now, in the beginning of this one, in the author's note, it does say that this is more smut than plot, so I do think that you should be forewarned going in. There's not a whole lot of plot that goes in with this one. It's very much smut, which I had a great time with. Although I did prefer Trick Shot and Puck Shy by Kayla Grouse, just because I love those characters. And I think that there was a little bit more plot within those ones, but it was still a really good time. I really enjoyed the smut. There was definitely some different kinks thrown in there, which I had a great time with, and I do enjoy reading about from time to time. So it was definitely good. 4-star read for me. The next one that I read was Null and Void by R. Moody. This is another arc, and I had the best time with this one. This is another feisty female main character, and she's a badass. She is a retired assassin, and she gets sold as a slave, which she has decided, she's always said to herself that she is never going to be. But the people who have bought her need her for a mission to save a princess, and so she goes with them, and they're on this journey trying to save the princess. And this is book 1 in the Patrons and of the Divine series. I'm so excited to read it, book 2. So our main character, Mika, has been through a lot. There is a lot of trigger warnings in here again, things like SA and abuse and murder, torture, all that sort of thing. So please be aware going in. It's all kind of based on in the past, so it kind of is brushed over a little bit. So it's not as on page it's not on page as much. And I really love this. I love the family aspect of this. Immediately Mika is welcomed within this family, even though she was kind of sold to them to help them on this mission, but immediately they take her in. Daddy Beans is the most iconic main character, one of the characters. I love him so much. And I just really had a great time with this. I really loved the slow burn romance in here. Like, Riley is the biggest cinnamon roll you could ever meet. He is a little baby, and I just want to wrap him up and steal him for myself. But I had a great time with this. I really loved it. It's a 5-star read for me, and I'm so excited. There's been so many good indie reads that I've recently been reading that I'm going to struggle to pick a top 10. I think my top 10 is literally just going to be all indie romantasy that I've read, arc read this year, because they're amazing and I need these physical copies in my hands right now so I can immediately reread them and annotate them so much. I had a great time. It's just so good. The next one that I read is The Last Girls Standing by Jennifer Duggan, and this was a 2-star read for me. I thought that I had a different idea of what I was going into. So in this one we're following our main character who is basically a survivor of a massacre. And she goes to work at the summer camp, and everyone in the summer camp gets killed by these people who've dressed up in animal masks. And I thought we were going to go through the actual massacre and kind of deal with it in that time. So I thought we were going to follow her as she went to the summer camp and then everything kicked off, but that wasn't the case. So we're following in the future timeline where it's already happened. She's already dealing with it, and it just gets really strange. We can see her decline in her mental health, and we do see that, but I don't like how a lot of the characters were gaslighting her and making her feel like the trauma that she went through isn't worthy of talking about or dealing with. Everyone just kind of wants to sweep it under the rug, which I did not enjoy, especially because it's only been a few months after the massacre. And yeah, I didn't like it. This is an LGBTQIA plus relationship, so we do have a sapphic romance in here, and yeah, I didn't really like that romance. I found it quite toxic, and I kind of understand why it was toxic, because they kind of bonded over the massacre that they both survived, and that's why it's kind of a trauma response for them. And yeah, the ending was so wild. It kind of went out of a left gate, and I was really shocked, but I didn't really like it. I only read it because I listened to it on audio, and that's the only reason I finished it. But yeah, it wasn't great. The next book that I read was Promises of Heaven by Onyx Brunya. This is another arc read for me, and this is a dark mafia romance where we're following our main character, who at the beginning is a slave, and she has been kidnapped to be sold as a sex slave, and she then comes across this masked man, and immediately they have this instant attraction, and he promises that he will save her. She escapes, runs away, and he never sees her again until she actually ends up being hired by him, and he doesn't know that it's her. And then when they meet, they finally realize it's them, and we're watching their romance start to blossom. And yeah, so there's a lot of secrets in here. There's a lot going on within this one. It's very convoluted. There's a lot happening. There's different timelines going on. We're following a younger timeline where we actually see that these main characters actually know each other from childhood, and kind of why they have this instant attraction and kind of really feel towards one another. And I really liked it. It is such a beautiful writing. I really loved it. There were so many quotes I highlighted in this one, and again, it's another one that I really want to own physically to highlight all of those things, because this is stunning writing. The ending ends on a cliffhanger, like most of these books bloody do, and I'm sad that it ended on a cliffhanger, although I understand and I'm very excited to see what's going to happen. I really love Icarus in this. He is so ready to burn the world down for her, and I just love it. He is just ready and willing. Like, he has the bloody match lit, and he's just ready to throw it on the ground like immediately and destroy the world to save her life and save her and keep her safe. And it's just so good. I loved it so much and had a really good time with it. Then I finally got to my reread of Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. I read this back in 2019 or 2020, I can't remember which year, but I read this buddy read with, I buddy read the whole series with one of my best friends, Elizabeth, Sorts of Sweets on Instagram. And this is one of my favorite series of all time, and I've never reread it, so I'm very happy that I finally got to read it and reread it. So if you don't know what this is about Selena Sardossian, and she was the best assassin in this Ireland. in this world, and she ends up being imprisoned in the salt mines. But a year into her enslavement in the salt mines, the prince of Ardalan has come and has decided that she is going to be his champion, and she has to take part in a tournament to become the king's champion, which means that she'll be under his rule for a certain amount of years, and after those years she'll be set free. So of course she's going to take this. She's in the salt mines, and we're just watching her deal with that. I love this book. There are so many things in here that I completely forgot. Things that are foreshadowed in here that, again, I did not see coming, and I was like gasping. There's a couple of Easter eggs in here which I was shooketh about, and I'm so excited to see it all come together because I've recently just finished the ACOTAR series. I just finished Silver Flames last night, and I was rereading ACOTAR, ACOMAF, ACO War, and yeah, so I'm in the middle of this reread, and then I'm going to be reading Crescent City too very soon. So I'm just squealing about this. I'm so excited to be rereading this. I'm definitely going to be picking up the next one very soon, and I'm so excited. I just love this. I love Selena. I love Dorian and Kale, and I just had a great time being back in this world and seeing everything, and yeah, I'm just gushing, but I love it. And it is my personality. Then I read When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I'm currently in the middle of filming a dragon reading vlog, so all my thoughts are going to be in that one. But I am obsessed with this book. This is a 5-star read for me. Absolutely obsessed. Love it so much. In this one, we're following our main character, Reeve, and she is also an assassin. And she ends up being captured and put in prison, and she gets saved. I don't really remember. I don't think the synopsis gives a lot away, so I don't really want to talk too much about it, because going in not knowing a lot is, I think, the best way to go about it. But anyway, she gets saved, and then she is figuring out what's actually going on, and there's a lot that happens within this. It's very convoluted, epic fantasy with a romantic subplot going through. I would definitely say it's more fantasy than fantasy romance, but I loved it. The dragons are so good. The world building is so strong. There's so much that goes into it. Like, honestly, there's so much. You definitely need to be taking your time reading this. There's so much information that goes in. And I loved it so much. I don't know how to talk about it without spoiling it, but I love it. And throughout this, we also have diary entries that are dotted through, and it kind of starts to give you context and understanding, and if you can start putting 2 and 2 together, you can kind of see where the story is going and why certain things are happening and why certain people are obsessed with other people. The romance is so good too. I love it. It's very slow burn. Definitely enemies to lovers, and so good, so good. Like, this is a new obsession, and I cannot wait. I need this paperback again because I need to annotate this. I do have a special edition coming, but I really want the paperback, so I'm definitely going to have to try and convince my partner to allow me to add it to my shelves, because technically it's red. But we shall see. I loved it. 5 stars. I had a great month reading 5 stars. Then we read Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. In this one, we're following Mia and Pearl, and they've just moved to this suburban town, and they've been given a rental house by this family called the Richardsons, and we watch as their lives become very entwined with the Richardsons, and secrets that start to become unveiled, and there's just a lot that happens within this. This is contemporary, I would say, and I have found that I don't think I enjoy Celeste Ng's writing. I don't think contemporary literary fiction is for me, if I'm being honest. I listened to this on audio, and I definitely think that I listened to it. What the hell is that? Oh, it's a bookmark. Huh. Cool. That just shows you that I actually have not opened this book since I bought it. I bought it secondhand at a book fair. But yeah, I just don't think literary fiction is for me. I understand where the story was going. There was a lot of mystery in here about who Pearl's father was. There was a lot of topics discussed like abortion and losing your virginity, um, life as an artist, having money and not having money, and kind of the how you can be looked down upon because of that. And yeah, it's a 3-star read for me, and I still haven't pinpointed what I didn't like about this, but I just feel like there were certain things within here that I didn't like. And yeah, I just don't think contemporary literary fiction is for me, which is fine. I'm definitely more of a fantasy reader, if you can't already tell from my stacks of books that I've been reading. The next book that I read was Lights Out by Navisa Allen, and this is a 5-star read for me. I am obsessed. I listened to this on audio from the recommendation of the Valaris Vixens. They're obsessed with this. So this is about our main character who is obsessed with masked man TikTok. She finds it very intriguing and very hot and gets her going, and she has become obsessed with this one creator on TikTok, and she's commenting on all his things, and she decides, she's a trauma nurse, and after having a rough night, she takes a screenshot of the guy's TikTok, sends it to her like hookup, fuck buddy, whatever you want to call them, and is like, ooh, let's do something like this, and he's like, no. And then this masked creator becomes obsessed with her, and he starts stalking her, and she's kind of into it, and I just had the best time. Josh is a cinnamon roll with also some spikes to him, which I really loved. He is just hilarious. Like, this book made me laugh out loud so many times. I was listening to this at work and I was just grinning like a lunatic. My partner kept walking by like, what are you listening to? And I'm like, nothing. It was very fun, very smutty, and I had the best time. And yeah, if you're not into the dark romance, I would kind of steer clear of this, because there is stalking, masked man, knife play, primal play, all that sort of stuff, so do be aware. If it's not for you, I wouldn't read it, but I loved it. New favorite book, 5-star read, beautiful, amazing. I need the physical book, and that's all I'm gonna say. The next one that I read was A Dark Dawn by Shay Torrell. This is the debut of a NZ author, and this was a 4-star read for me. I got gifted this by the author so I could beta read her second book, and in this one we're following Michaela, and she has not had a great life, and she is dealing with a lot, and she comes across the court, who've just moved to this town, and the court is this sort of mafia-esque style group, and she has to move in with the enforcer of this group, Andreas, and their relationship starts to develop, and it is great. I really love that. This is classed as a fantasy romance, so there is fantasy romance elements in here, which I had a great time with. I do think that it is a very like it feels like a debut novel. The writing is a bit stilted, things like that, but I still had a really great time with it. I loved it so much. I really love the found family aspect. I really love the relationships Michaela has with her best friend, Oaks, and his younger sister Junie. There's a lot of trauma in here too, so please be aware. There's a lot of things like drug use, murder, torture, arson, drugs, all those sort of things, so do be aware going in. But I do think that it is definitely more on the softer side, so if it's something that you may want to try and dip your toes into, this might be a good one to start with. But I did have a really good time with it. So that is the 17 books that I read in August. It was a lot. This video is going on for 35 minutes, so hopefully I can cut that down a little bit. I am sore. My throat is sore from talking. You can probably hear it. But that was the 17 books that I read in August. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment down below what you read in August, and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Bye!